Welcome back to another video, family. Listen, we're going to be talking about overthinking, okay? Because overthinking feels smart. It feels responsible. It feels like you're, being a little careful. You're protecting yourself from making mistakes. And, but sometimes what we fail to realize is overthinking is just fear wearing a mask of intelligence. It's the mask of intelligence, and the most dangerous part about it is you don't even realize what it's costing you until it's already gone. That's the worst part because overthinking doesn't just delay decisions, it quietly steals opportunities from you and it kills momentum. Let's be honest. Over time, it makes you stop trusting yourself and stop trusting yourself to make decisions. We live in a world that we necessarily say we reward information. Think it through, do your research, weigh every option. And yes, thinking does matter. No one is ever going to tell you don't think. Make decisions, don't think about it, right? I'm not here to tell you to stop thinking. That's not what I want to do. I'm here to tell you that there's a difference between thinking clearly and thinking endlessly, because one creates better decisions than the other, and the other creates paralysis, analysis paralysis. And if you ever replay the same decision in your mind for days, weeks, even months, then you already know how exhausting that can be, because eventually the issue stops the decision itself. The issue becomes what indecision is doing for you, right? Here's why overthinking is so dangerous, okay? Because it doesn't feel like avoidance. It feels like effort. Makes you feel like, oh, no. I'm processing. I'm actually thinking about it. No, I'm not overthinking it. I just want to make sure it feels like effort. Like it feels like you're working on the problem. You're considering all the risks. You're playing out scenarios. You're trying to find the best path forward. And on the surface, that sounds wise. It sounds like, oh yeah, no, this guy's smart. He's thinking it through. He's taking his time. But what's really happened a lot of the time is that your brain is trying to create a situation with certainty that just doesn't exist. You want to wait for the perfect answer, and that guarantees the outcome that you will. It guarantees the path that you won't regret. And there's no path with no regret. But most meaningful decisions don't come with that, right? The most meaningful choices that we're going for, it doesn't come with that. Career moves, relationships, starting something new, leaving something that's familiar in the past, leaving, or these decisions almost always involve uncertainty. So if your standard is, I'll move when I know for sure, I'll make a decision when I got it, you may never move. And that decision may no longer be there for you when you're ready. And that's how overthinking becomes a trap. And we'll get to that later about thought traps, but in a different video. But not because you're lazy, not because it's that you don't care, but because you care so much that you're trying to eliminate all the risks before acting. And life rarely allows that. Like, let's be honest, time-wise. Time wastes on no one. And most people think that overthinking only costs time. It's a little time. It's okay to take a little extra time to overthink. But it costs more than that. It costs timing, which is sometimes the opportunity you're debating on has an expiration date. I just talked about that yesterday. Everything has an expiration date. Not everything, but most opportunities has an expiration date. The job opening you're looking to closes, the relationship opportunities closes, market shifts, the chance to speak up passes, the season ends, and by the time you finally decide the option that you want, the option is no longer yours to choose. And it also costs momentum. Momentum is very powerful, whether it's business, whether it's, relationships, whether it's, you want to build evidence, you want to build learning, because when you act, even imperfectly, you build energy. When you're going, it builds that energy. You adapt, you learn, right? But when you overthink, you interrupt momentum. And momentum is one of the hardest things to pick back up. I'm an athlete. And I was just talking to a friend of mine about this the other day. When you're doing a drill and you're jumping, when you're jumping, the moment you stop, it is so much harder to start back, to keep going. It takes more energy to start over, to get off the ground again, than keep going once you're already bouncing. And when it comes to overthinking, when I said you interrupt the momentum, the longer you stay still, the heavier starting becomes, as I just said. But maybe the biggest cost of overthinking is this: it costs self-trust. Now you begin to start doubting yourself. Every time you sit with the indecision too long, you teach yourself something dangerous. You know what that is? You teach yourself, I can't trust my own judgment. I need more proof. I need more reassurance. I need just one more sign to tell me that this is the right decision. And over time, that doesn't just affect one decision. It becomes a pattern. It becomes your identity. And you stop seeing yourself as someone who decides and start seeing yourself as someone who hesitates. And that's the hidden truth, that indecision is still a decision, right? One of the hardest truths to accept is not deciding is still a decision. If you don't choose, time eventually chooses for you. Circumstances choose. Other people choose. Mistiming chooses. Fear chooses. And what makes overthinking so expensive is because while it feels like you're keeping all of your options open, you often just give away your power. You're letting hesitation make the call for you. And that doesn't mean that every fast decision is a good decision. I'm not saying jump out and just, okay, A or B, A, B or D, D. Like, I'm not saying jump out there half cocked and just make a decision, right? It's just that when you're making a decision fast, it doesn't mean that endless delay has consequences too, because sometimes the greatest risk isn't making the wrong move. It's staying still so long that movement is made for you, right? So here's what changed everything for me. I realized that action often gives information that thought never can. I'm more of a take action kind of guy. And you can think about, with me personally, starting a business, right? Or you could think about how and when to post your first video and just learn from the response you get. You could think about changing careers, or you can apply a network test and see what opens up. And you could think about whether something is right for you or not, or even take one step towards it and pay attention to how it feels, because action creates feedback. Feedback creates clarity, and clarity creates confidence. And that's why waiting for total certainty is such a trap, because confidence usually doesn't come first. Confidence comes after. Have you guys ever done something, and then after you've done it successfully or even unsuccessfully, you feel more confident to go again? You feel more confident to do it again, to get a better result. Okay, I did this, but I could do it better. Athletes, okay, all right, yes, I probably made it, but I want to make it a different way. You know, I probably did this, but okay, I did this better. I could do it better. Okay, oh, I wasn't able to quite get it, but I know I can now, right? Confidence comes after you survive the uncertainty that you were afraid of. After you act, after you adapt, after you realize that you can handle more than you thought, right? So how do you stop overthinking without being impulsive? Because I know a lot of you are to come in the comments and talk about that, right? And simple, you stop trying to make perfect decisions. Stop trying to make useful ones. Here's a practical way to do it, right? Set a decision deadline. Give yourself a decision time limit. Not forever, but not whenever I feel ready kind of time limit, like a real deadline, because without one, your mind will keep expanding the problem. Ask what information actually matters. Not every detail deserves equal weight. Rate. What are the 2 to 3 facts that truly matter here? Strip down the decision, right? Identify the next step, not the whole future. Most people freeze because they think they need the full roadmap done before they start, and you usually don't. You need your next move, your next conversation, the next step, the next application. That's all you need. Because if you plan a roadmap, right? And this is for my planners right here. If you plan a roadmap and then let's just say you run into a roadblock and it said you needed to go A, but now you got to go B. Now that mess up your whole plan. Now you're freaking out, you're panicking. Then the impulsive decisions start to happen, right? Because your whole plan, the reason why you started is to go down A. But now you got to go down B. And you got to make it happen, right? And now it's uncomfortable. And this is huge for you because discomfort does not automatically mean that it's wrong. Sometimes discomfort means that it's new. It's something that you're just not familiar with. And excuse me. And if you confuse discomfort with danger, that's when that flight or fight response starts to happen. You keep avoiding the very things that could grow you. Obstacles that are put in your way to help you grow, to help the mind expand. Because we build decision confidence on smaller choices, smaller wins, right? Don't wait for a life-changing decision to practice. Practice on some things. Respond sooner. Choose faster. Commit to simple actions. Train yourself on movement as a mindset because the goal isn't to stop thinking. We never want anyone to feel like they should stop thinking and stop analyzing. The goal is to stop letting thinking become a disguise. Stop letting overthinking, stop letting fear disguise itself as thought. Think clearly, think honestly, but once you've thought enough, move. Because the longer you stay trapped in analysis and that analysis paralysis sets in, the more likely that the opportunity, the timing, and even the confidence begin to slip away. Because overthinking doesn't just delay the process, it teaches you to doubt yourself. And the price is too high to keep paying, right? And that's a price that's too high to keep paying, overthinking. Because once you start to doubt yourself, trickle, trickle. It's a rolling ball effect, right? So here's a challenge for you, okay? Think of one decision that you've been sitting on for too long, right? Not the biggest one, just one. And ask yourself, do I truly need more information? Or am I just afraid of what happens after I decide? And then choose your next step. Not the perfect step. Don't look for the perfect step. The next step. And just take it. Because clarity doesn't always come before action. Sometimes it only shows up because you actually finally moved. And if this helped you, comment down below. Let me know about a decision that you're juggling right now. And let me know about a couple of choices. And let me know, has you ever had analysis paralysis? Because what's one decision that you need to stop overthinking? You know you need to make this choice, right? And if this is the type of content that you need, subscribe, because this channel is about helping you think better, about trusting yourself and move forward with clarity, because overthinking is a habit that we fall for a ton, a ton. A lot of my overthinkers, and a lot of it's because of anxiety. A lot of us deal with it on a daily. If this helps you, like, comment, subscribe, show love. See you guys on the next video.